Right. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Kakadash. And give double honor to the apostles, the J Master, and Ruth well. And peace, blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect, to the saints that's out there pushing, that's Slaki, that's tuning in, striving, mortifying their members in these last days to be, a holy vessel for Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua. And this is 4 types of racism. We understand that this system is ran by the elites, which are Edomites, and they understand they want their birthright back, which they have dumbed down. Started with Amalek, on to the elites, the Edomites, and then the so-called white thinking Edomites, which they think that they're white, but you're really an Edomite, which don't know what the hell's going on. And you fall right in line with the strategic plan, the snares and the traps that your elites and Amalek has thrown out there. So, you have a lot of Edomites that sit there and talk about, forget about our people, slavery, what they've done, the devastation, the atrocities, and the catastrophes that happen amongst so-called blacks, so-called Native Americans, so-called Latinos, Hispanics, and the West Indians. And you can say that because you were the conqueror. Your grandparents, your forefathers, they conquered us, and you reap the benefits now. And I'm gonna read 4 types of racism. It says interpersonal, internalized, structural, and institutional. They always say, when you go to jail, you become institutionalized. Well, Jake, you so-called blacks, Latinos, Hispanic, Native Americans, in the system of the American corporation, which is ran by Edomites, all our people have become institutionalized, and that's why their whole notion is them just being dumbed down and really just being entertainers and doing what your master tells you what to do, and you being a good boy in a society, and your little bit of entertainment is our people preying on each other. So it says racism is the form of oppression based on race, and we understand through all the history since this Edomite have come into power, it's been oppression. The scripture says oppression maketh a wise man mad. Well, it is clearly that the scripture says, Isaiah 1:6, it tells you, I know, Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. And I believe in Isaiah, it tells you, amongst my people are Sodom's children, which are stupid because they don't understand what's going on. Unlike discrimination, oppression takes into account power, who is positioned to hold power, and who is positioned not to hold power as a result of the way society has been set up and functioned for generations. And Jay can't see that. Ever since slavery, and ever since you so-called Latinos and Hispanics have been conquered, who's been in power? Because they put a token little Negro, a token little Hispanic, Sambo in power, and now you think everything's okay? Well, ever since 1960, after the destruction of our so-called communities, because you had a lot of so-called white mobs in the 1800s, would always come in and vandalize and destroy our dwelling quarters, and to ultimately, I done lost my whole. I believe in 1960s, if I'm not mistaken, when you would basically became one with society. That's when you niggas forgot, who your enemy was, and forgot, who really run things. Because ultimately, when the black exploitation came in 1970s, roughly 1960s, 1970s, it token you little Negroes having your little Cadillacs, your little gay suits, and I mean, not meaning you're gay, but gay suits meaning your pink suits, uh, flashy heels, flashy boots, flashy gear, flashy hat, etc. And then our people, pretty much became dumbed down. They thought, again, like the movie Superfly. And I think you all had one also, Hell Up in Harlem, if I'm not mistaken. And it says, in other words, oppression takes into account agent and target group membership. People who identify as black, indigenous, and people of color are targets of racism. See that? So you so-called Taino, you Indian, Native Americans, and you so-called black people which came in the slave trade, and you people of color, West Indians, etc. And also goes into the Israelite foreigners. In interpersonal racism, prejudgment, bias, or discrimination by a white individual toward a person of color. And that's your everyday so-called white people you come across. And that's why a lot of them come, you have your Karens, your Billy, your Joes. They deal with you on the strength because they know really deep down inside you lack confidence and you don't know who you are. So they have this lordship mentality when they deal with you. Institutional racism, policies, practices, procedures, and culture of an institutional system that work better for white, which are Edomite people, and cause harm to people of color, often inadvertently or unintentionally. And this is why, Jake really don't understand the reason why you're a nutcase is because you're really dealing with you're institutionalized, and you're going against your nature because you really want to say something about it, but they shut you up, and basically they demonize you for speaking up against it. They got the little semantics that they play, and they fuck with your mindset. And then one thing they also do is they put your woman against you. It was a scripture I was thinking about, can't remember. But it says structural racism. Matter of fact, no. I take that back. No. Hold on. That's what I wanted. I believe it was this one right here. So Psalms 64:1. To the chief musician, the Psalm of David, hear my voice, O power, in my prayer, preserve my life from the fear of the enemy. And our enemy is the so-called white man, because this is his turf. He took it, he conquered us. And going back to the curses of Deuteronomy 28, he has us in possession, with his possession. And we have to go to him for one of all things. So now, seeing that we're in this predicament, instead of somewhat trying to be fair, we know ultimately this is payback. So this wasn't a thing that it was going to be nice and peachy and sweet. We ultimately went off and turned our back on Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So Yahweh put the most cruel, wicked, the sons of the wicked over us. So it says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. And that counsel is how the way he has his whole infrastructure set up. So, instead of you revolting, you get institutionalized. So you start to like it and find ways how to maneuver. And basically, you how you say it, through Yahweh Shai, we don't become complete institutionalized. We just maneuver through until Yahweh Shai comes back to rise up to the prey. But our people, the 2/3, they're not our people, but the 2/3 of Israel, they become institutionalized, and they start basically adjusting on how to live here, and they start loving it. Just like you have a lot of Jake, that big dude, that long jail bid, and they start to conform to prison. And when their prison sentence is over, they don't even want to leave. So one thing about our people, the 2/3, they don't even want to leave captivity. They want to stay here. They wet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows and shoot their arrows, even bitter words. that they may shoot in secret at the perfect, which is Israelites. Start with the elect. Suddenly they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privately. They say, who shall see them? And again, going back to Isaiah 47, this is how they've been able to set up this infrastructure by their witchcraft and sorcery. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Yeah, they search out all the ways of how to make us to fall and bring forth wickedness. And they've done a diligent search. These Edomites know, starting with the elites and the Amalek, they know who we really are. And this is why they have to come out our videos like they do, because they ultimately know that we're bringing forth truth through Yahweh Shah. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep, but Yahweh shall shoot at them with an arrow those missiles in World War III. Suddenly shall they be wounded. And going back to, it says, structural racism, the history, culture, and current reality of racism across institutions and or systems. When the institutional racism of multiple institutions overlaps to form a web of racism impacting people and communities of color, this includes implicit and explicit social narratives about race, such as those perpetrated by the media. See that? And that's why they have Jake constantly prey on each other. And that's why they always have those humiliation rituals. They always had the so-called black woman demonizing and tearing down the so-called black man. You have those mocking of reproach, those bywords, and again they always show those Edomites beating our asses, or Jake, cops gunning Jake down. But that's part of the structural racism to keep you basically in check. And they also show you you Negroes as just being entertainers. You know, they don't show you as nothing else greater. So internalized racism, the internalization of the racist stereotypes, values, images. The so-called black woman being a whore, and the so-called black man being a sodomite. Your values is loving America, and you being an entertaining boy, a little boy. Images and ideologies perpetrated by the white dominant society about one racial group. And all throughout America, the so-called white man has been telling us who we are and constructing us on how and who we are, black. That's why you have those terms, colored, black, African American, black American, Afro American, etc. And these were all the names that the so-called white man gave us. Internalized racial inferiority, the acceptance and acting out of an inferior definition of self. That's why the so-called black woman wears blonde hair, and deep down inside, she will put down her own man to idolize the so-called white man, and it's evident. Her destroying her own hair and putting on a blonde wig. Her own self-hatred has caused herself to really just be a complete nutcase. And also the so-called black man, his desire of wanting to have a part in this society has allowed these Edomites basically going into like the scripture says, why trimmest thou thy way? So it says definition of self-rooted in the historical designation of one's race. Over many generations, this process of disempowerment, that's why they always show you Jakes in the ghetto slums in poverty. And the only way they show you any type of success is when you sell out and bend over and go to that room and they make you a sodomite. And disenfranchisement is expressed in self-defeating behaviors, and that's evident, you know. All you have to do is just look at how the so-called black woman walk out here and how the so-called black man walks out here, and it shows you self-defeating behaviors. One of them is the fact that the so-called black people desire of voting, and they're always wanting to save the so-called white man and woman and their child. And one of our own biggest opponents of this truth is the scoffers, is our own people wanting to save their enemy. Some examples: colorism, isolation, protectionism, addiction, self-doubt, and that's why Jake walk around with their heads down. Self-hate, skin bleaching, rage, shame, ethnocentrism, anti-blackness, anti-indigeneity. And that's why Jake always, basically, they don't want nothing to do with their own identity. Internalized racial superiority, the acceptance and acting out of a superior definition of self, rooted in the historical destination of one's race. Over many generations, this process of empowerment and access is expressed as unearned privileges, access to institutional power, invincible advantages, and inflated self-image based upon race. Some examples: individualism, paternalism, comfort, control, solid intellectualization, cognitive dissonance, anti-blackness, anti-indigeneity. Can't say that word. But see, that's the token nigga right there. They always got to get the slaves hope. So they put that one token nigga in there to make the slaves think, what's wrong with me, or what's my problem, or if I act like him, maybe Massa will love me like he loved, like Snoop Dogg. You have many more. And bringing forth these scriptures. Hold on real quick. I got that one. Let me see. I'm gonna just get this one. Psalm 141:9. Keep me from the snares which they have laid for me, and the jinns, instruments of workers of iniquity. Ecclesiastes 7:26. And I meant to bring this out earlier, but one thing that Esau have done is put our own woman against us. And it says that I found more bitter than death the woman whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands as bands. Whoso pleaseth Yahweh Bashim Yahushua shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her. So you got to understand, one of the biggest, allegiance that Esau, and two that Esau had aid to help destroy the so-called black man, was his own woman. I think it was one more. Oh yeah, Sirach 12:10. So it says, Sirach 12:10, and this is in the GNT. Never trust an enemy. His wickedness is as destructive as rust. And if anybody knows what rust does to a thing, an instrument, or a thing that it sits on, it destroys it. And that's why basically you have to get rid of it. Watch out and be on guard against him, even if he acts ever so humble. Because in this society, you niggas have been so dumb. I mean, basically, you niggas are not a threat. So Esau really don't have to really show his true horns anymore. Which eventually he's going to have to, because he is losing his power. But ever since you Negroes have basically loved the so-called white man and happy and eating out of his hand, he really didn't have to really show you too much of how much of a devil he is. Because prior to 1960s, our people knew that the super white man was the fucking devil. He was our enemy. But after 1960s, to this very point, our people have been have basically thought that the so-called white man is really your friend, and you niggas hate each other. So it says, he is like a metal mirror that rusts away if you don't keep it polished. See an enemy at your right hand, and the next thing you know, he'll be trying to get your own place of honor. And that's what the so-called white man has done. Because he knows who you are, but you don't know who you are. Put him next to you and he will overthrow you. Then you will realize the truth of my words, and being stung with with regret when you remember them. Nobody feels sorry for snake charmers or wild animal tamers who get bitten. And for years, and it's beautiful because even Yahweh Bashim Yahushua has never let that saying that the white man is the devil cease. So it says, and nobody will feel sorry for you if you run around with sinners and get involved in their wrongdoing. So since Esau has turned our people out against themselves, and we know that Esau is the wicked, pretty much, that's why we're not sorry for the 2/3. And an enemy will stay with you for a while, but not when trouble comes. He will speak fine words while he plots how to trap you. He will pretend to share your sorrows, but he will kill you if he gets a chance. And that's what, amen, that's evident what Esau does. If trouble comes your way, you will find him waiting, ready to trip you up while he pretends to help you. He will be a different person then, rubbing his hands, nodding his head, and spreading rumors about you. And that's what Esau does across the four corners. He has set up those snares and those traps, black culture, etc. And now, since all eyes and everybody looks at you, the mother nation, the heathen nation, look at you as a degenerate nation. Like as it goes into Lamentations, all nations hiss and clap their hands at you. Esau is still talking that dumb shit and still spreading lies, but ultimately, this is one of the reasons why our people are fucked up is because of the so-called white man. Because nigga, you had us in your hands, and this is what you pretty much taught us how to be the niggas on the earth. But Lord's Williams edified, and again, 4 types of racism. Check it out, read it, build off of it. But Lord's Williams edified. Shalom.